Good morning, everybody. My name is Maha, and I am part of the digital transformation team within Alpha Data. Today, before we begin our lively session, let me quickly introduce you to the people that are present with us. We have Mrs. Geetika Sood, who is the head of the digital transformation practice within Alpha Data, and she has got an extensive experience of over 25 years in the digital transformation arena.
And we also have senior delegates from IBM, including Ahmed El Sayed, who is the chief data scientist and has been pioneering instrumental solutions in the data and AI portfolio. And we have Mr. Laith, who's the channel head for sales, and we have Yusuf Chawat, who is the data and AI business unit executive for the EMEA. And we have also Mr. Jackie Patel, who is the data science practice lead, and Mr. Satyajit Garewal, who is the data scientist and IBM Watson solution expert. And we have Simran Qureshi, who's a solution specialist for decision optimization and planning analytics. And we also have Aarti, who is a data scientist expert from Alpha Data. Over to you, Geetika.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks for another session on our learning series. I hope you're all safe and sound, and we all wish you good health once again. So what's happening, guys? As right now we are kind of trying to stay composed, we are poised somewhere in between the emergency situation that COVID has created and still trying to catch up with the new normal. While we're trying to do that, there's always a push for us to catch up at a fast pace for digital acceleration and trying to create some new outcomes which are meaningful for business from digital acceleration point of view. So what we've got today for you is trying to put together some niche solutions from IBM, which can help you in combating the COVID with conversational intelligence and optimization being the key themes. What I'm going to do over next 10 minutes or so with a very quick context setting is not going to walk you through the generic slides or any introduction slides. You've known us enough and you've known the products enough. What I'll try and do is give you a good flavor of some use case end-to-end that we've orchestrated with the current time, which is in line with the IBM optimization and conversation intelligence solution. The key themes being enhancing the customer experience, streamlining the operations, and what is the most important right now is optimization, right? Optimization for your manpower, for their schedules, to make sure they're well utilized. And this is where the power of the IBM optimization solutions with planning and analytics will be showcased to you in our demos today. In order to empower our digital employees, we are talking about two areas today, of course, from the entire gamut. We brainstormed a lot and we said we've been showcasing and having certain series, but what is the urgency right now? One of the main urgencies is obviously the smart access management, having contactless way of ensuring that all the employees, all the customers, everyone is safe around you. And that's why I thought it would be prudent for us to combine the theme of smart access management and obviously optimization and operational efficiency are the key areas everyone is talking about, with costs trying to go down from every company, and they're trying to optimize in terms of their resources. What else could have been a better topic to give you a good flavor, to get something which can be easily implemented in the use case? So what you see on the screen right now is the basic smart access management with the elements of areas like social distancing, safe distancing, occupancy monitoring, and the contactless ways of access management, which as Alpha Data we've orchestrated in terms of facial recognition, temperature measurements, disinfection systems, and end-to-end solutions encompassing these areas that you see here. But on top of that, and to augment the overall offering, what we are offering to you today is use case for decision optimization, where you will see the demo where we're talking about this, as well as the chatbots, which are being coined as COVID citizen assistants from IBM. And we are very, very proud to be associated on these offerings. This is all enhanced and coupled with the IBM planning analytics as well. I'm very excited to share the kind of use cases, and of course, these are unlimited, but I thought in the current context, it's best and prudent for us to pick the use cases which can help you in combating COVID. On left, what you see are some of the flavors. Again, these are not out of box. These are something which as services, we are kind of articulating to ensure they could be customized and tailored as per you. It could be enhanced visitor registration process. It could be also the intelligent receptionist concept, which can be powered by chatbots, and a couple of other areas that you see here on the left. But most importantly, what could be the top use cases that could really be meaningful for you? Visitor registration, as we are all skeptical to be physically present to attend any meetings, and I'll talk about this as I have taken one example and put an end-to-end story around it, hopefully which you will love, and then you'll see the demo for some of that, as well as the safe zone identification or overall optimization, be it for our employees, be it linked to our KPI monitoring, or be it linked to the occupancy statistics. I hope so far it's clear. This is my most favorite slide, which I actually orchestrated last night. I was just thinking, if I am a customer and I'm taking out time to attend one of these seminars from Alpha Data, I don't want to hear the normal stuff, speak about certain pointed solutions. I want to make sure that the entire journey, either for my customers visiting us, or for visitors, or for my employees itself, is very safe, is very seamless, and is also powered by all the digital technology with contactless. So here I have a pictorial representation of what we could do. And of course, the scenarios are again very unlimited. I want you to get into a bit of a storyline here. Imagine I'm a visitor and I want to visit one of the high-profile customers. In a typical scenario, I would have just informed them, booked the meeting on a calendar, got it accepted and visited them. But in the current scenario, what I'd rather do is send a message to I'll either call the office or send a message. In case I call, I'm putting up a scenario where a chatbot checks the occupancy status. And the occupancy status is basically linked with the smart access management and occupancy monitoring solutions, which tells me, as per regulation, for example, the current occupancy in the office or in a particular schedule cannot exceed 30%. So the chatbot checks the occupancy status. If it is all okay, it's within the stipulated guidelines and the regulations. Then I get a confirmation, and that confirmation could be automatically through digital business automation or through a bot, could be sent again to the visitor, and the host can be informed. And the master schedule, which could be maintained, which you'll see in the demo, could be updated accordingly. If I'm the visitor and I get that notification before I travel ahead of my plan, again, I could use some of the features, for example, Watson Discovery, to get live updates, to check the zone status, to check whether the area I'm visiting is one of the hotspot area or it's safe, what are the other guidelines. If it is in green zone, I also ensure other areas could be smart parking, could be automatic number plate recognition powered by again, it could be chatbots, robotic process automation, DBA, any of those scenarios. And once all of that is green, I arrive at my destination. Now, this is also very interesting. When I arrive at the destination, I don't want a physical receptionist to greet me because proximity also is dangerous. So there I have coined something like an intelligent receptionist. Could be a chatbot greeting you, could be checking again the real-time statistics of me, whatever I have stated before filling the registration form, and could check my real-time temperature, whether I'm wearing a mask, no mask, what you see on the left there. And once all the smart management access parameters are all green, they are checked in real time. Again, the intelligent receptionist in a form of a chatbot could answer as a COVID citizen some of my questions. It could be in terms of gamification, guiding me to the restroom, guiding me to the visitor, or could be another set of question and answers. Once it's all clear, the host is being informed. And this could also be linked to a health bot whereby the HRB is being notified for the visitors, as well as the employees who are greeting the the visitor. And a couple of other scenarios could be linked, what you see on the right in terms of planning and analytics, whereby certain KPIs could be linked in terms of being monitored by HR as well as by management. Now, this is just an example where you see a lot of technology could really augment the overall journey for a visitor, for an employee, and for the management in terms of planning and analytics. So hope this is making sense. This will make more sense for you because in second half, we are going to showcase some of these to you, and then you can probably link the entire flow of what I'm telling you and get the thought process to actually see how it can be implemented. And we can just not only talk, but walk the talk there, right? So far, I hope it's good. Just want to give you an example, a little bit of flavor before I hand over to my colleagues in terms of safe zone identification. What you see, for example, on the right is one example of a COVID citizen, which in form of a chatbot could again be guiding you on different fronts. And on the left, what you see is, the interaction could be again very intelligent through a chatbot, asking relevant questions or customizing it with different language options and other areas that you would see from the feature point of view. I don't want to steal the show for our colleagues and let this be, one of the exciting demos for you. I just also, in terms of putting the visitor across to the IVR, what actually happens is also could be enabled through a Watson assistant. So I hope the graphics will give you a good sense of that. The customer is calling and the powerful real-time speech recognition can happen. The conversion of speech into text happens. So see what happens. I've linked that to graphics here. The customer calls, call lands up into an IVR. The IVR answers the call through the IVR providers. That call is then transcribed using some smart technology from IBM Watson Assistant, for example, which converts the call and gets into the cognitive gateway, which then is being very easily checked into with the natural language processing. The transcription happens from, speech to text. And all of the modeling and training of the system happens, which does also my tone analysis, sentiment analysis, and it can teach the language of your domain and also be customized as per the jargons, whether it is a banking industry or an IT industry or any other specific industry. So what happens is, again, this could all be powered from speech to text with certain capabilities which can help in certain times, for example, to conquer either a COVID situation or to do sentiment analysis and to ensure a very smooth and safe journey for any visitor. This could again be applicable for any industry, for any scenario, but I hope you got a good sense. Also, just putting up one slide on intelligent interception, it could be related to a receptionist in terms of a chat bot, and the scenarios could be unlimited. Some of the text here is quite self-explanatory, and the scenarios can be tweaked and customized as per what you're looking at. I hope you are able to relate to this. Just one last slide from my content in terms of advanced analytics. What is happening is also, I think, one of the biggest considerations for the management and for all of us right now is making sure that there is optimization in terms of schedules for any industry. Of course, it's applicable so much for nurses, for healthcare staff. It's also applicable for IT. It's also applicable for banking or various other industries. So the advanced analytics, which could be powered by decision optimization, for example, can help. And the scenarios could be like in the example I stated earlier. The HR could be looking at the KPIs and monitoring this with real-time statistics on advanced analytics, which could be combined with the optimization scenarios. And the end-to-end process could be linked to COVID citizens, being chatbots, and powered with digital business automation and multiple other areas. With that thought process, let me just hand over to my colleague Ahmed from IBM, who's a chief data scientist, who's going to walk you through some examples and some further use cases in the current context, and then we'll get into the demo part. I hope this was useful, and of course, I'm here to answer any questions. We will take up Q&A towards the end as well. Thank you. Over to you, Ahmed.
Thank you, Geetika. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And you can see my screen, right?
Yes, Ahmed, please carry on. Thank you.
Yes. Hi, good morning, everyone. So my name is Ahmed Al-Sayed. I'm a Chief Data Scientist in IBM based in Dubai. So what I plan to do today is to extend on what Geetika presented today and talk to you about how AI is transforming the business across really multiple industries and multiple use cases. So I think before we start with that, so I think to better appreciate the technology shift made possible by AI, I would like to do the parallel of AI versus programming. So with programming, how we used to handle like problems, for example, let's say fraud. I have, for example, some input data about my banking transaction, my customer behavior. I'll bring some human expert, right? Some fraud expert who will write rules for me of how fraud would occur. He will write these rules, put them in a program, and that program will generate output saying that transaction is fraud or not. So that here will cause multiple challenges, as you might notice that first, these rules are very static. They hardly evolve and they can hardly be maintained because of the market dynamics, because of the, of the evolving nature of fraud. And then as well, all these rules are limited and subjective to that human knowledge expertise. At the opposite side with machine learning, so instead of having to write rules manually, we let the machine write rules automatically for us. How we do that? By simply ingesting data, input and output data. For example, to go back on the same example for fraud, in that example, I'll bring in some input data about my customer behavior, my backend transaction, and here my output would be a fraud flag saying yes or no, that transaction was fraudulent. And the machine learning algorithm will go and analyze all these data and understand the patterns of fraud versus not fraud, and will generate the rules automatically for us. So in that scenario here, my rules are dynamic. They evolve with new incoming data that I receive, and they are objective, and they are not limited to particular human expertise, but they are really wide, and they will leverage all the wealth of data and information you have in your organization across multiple years. So, and probably you know that AI and machine learning is not new, right? So the concept has started actually in 1950s, and by the way, the term machine learning have been coined by an IBMer called Arthur Samuel in 1959, who actually built a checker program. And that was the very beginning of AI and the first milestone of AI, and what helped actually IBM, stocks increased by 15% overnight. And as you see the evolution of AI across multiple decades, for example, in 1997, where IBM have built a deep blue machine being able to beat the world champion in chess, Garry Kasparov, after a 6-game match. So until then, the challenges that we're trying to tackle with AI actually were structured data kind of problems, right? Structured data kind of problems. But now, as we start to have more and more computational power, more and more data, and big data with unstructured kind of textual data, now we start to tackle much more challenging problems, like, for example, understanding natural language, text. For example, 2011, we have built a machine that won the Jeopardy game, right, against the world champion in Jeopardy. And that's kind of like a natural language kind of question answering system that can understand multiple topics and multiple subjects. More recently, 2019, we have built the project Debater. So a Watson machine being able to debate on multiple topics like economy, like politics, and so on, against human beings. Actually, all these are broadcasted on television, on YouTube. I really invite you to go and check them. This is really quite exciting time for to be in AI field these days. So to go down a bit more on Earth, right? So let's see how AI is transforming multiple industries across multiple use cases. I think the most common use cases that Geetika mentioned very well as well is about customer care. So every organization is receiving a huge amount of requests, especially in this pandemic days. The world is becoming heavily digitalized. And this organization can't just keep up with all the number of requests they are coming to them on daily basis. It's increasing their operational cost, and it's decreasing customer satisfaction who are waiting for long hours on a phone. So here we can easily, and that's I think a quick win for every organization, to implement kind of virtual assistant that can handle different conversations through multiple channels, whether it's voice or text, right? And really take over all the load that's coming to the organization. For example, we have done that with Royal Bank of Scotland. We started really small with few intense answering Q&A kind of questions, right? And handling 40% of the queries coming to the bank, as until today, where we have more than few hundreds of intents being implemented into the assistant, and being able to handle more than 80%, right, of load coming to the bank all automatically. So imagine the gain of operational efficiency, giving back actually time to the agent to focus on the more complex issues, and actually increasing customer satisfaction by 80% in that case. So the other case is customer experience. And that's as well a very common and one of the most lucrative use cases that B2C organization can leverage today. It's all about understanding customer behavior, who your customer are, and what they really want, right? By analyzing their last historical behavior, transactional, their purchases, their calls, their phones, and so on, to predicting what is the best offer to send to the right customer at the right time through the right channel. And for example, that we've done that with many organizations across the globe, for example, with Celcom in Malaysia, where we could improve the customer response rate by 70%. So 70% more revenue from your campaigns by implementing simple machine learning programs. Expert Assist, so that's more as an internal use case where organization can basically leverage all the wealth of data, documents, unstructured data that you have in order to allow your knowledge worker to find information more easily, right? In average, actually, knowledge worker would spend 30% of his time just looking for information across multiple sources, multiple portals, and it's really a lot of waste of productivity. So how you can aggregate all this data, putting it together, and allow to build a simple question answering system where you can really get the answer to the right person very quickly. For example, we've done that with Woodside, one of the largest oil and gas producers in Australia. We analyze very technical documents like geological documents, like seismic reports, like drilling reports, really very engineered kind of information, and allow their petroleum engineer find information quickly while they are on site. We've done that as well with Crédit Mutuel in France, where we have helped their client advisors completely answer 50% of the emails they receive on daily basis. So they receive around 350,000 email on daily basis. They just cannot keep up with that. The Watson is being able to help them answer automatically 50% of all the emails coming to them. So again, you imagine the gain of operation efficiency you can gain by implementing such Watson technologies. Risk and compliance, again, is a huge area of AI. That can be for a bank who want to implement, for example, anti-money laundering system or fraud system or cybersecurity, or even for government, for example, for custom or border control. So typically, banks, for example, have these systems as rule-based systems. Okay, so they have systems which are being crafted by, as I said earlier, by the SMEs, a human expert who came and wrote rules for the bank. But if you ask these banks, they will tell you they will have more than 99% of false alerts, right? So investigators are just spending 99% of their time investigating the wrong alert, right? So how you can implement AI and learn from all these previous and historical alerts and transactions coming to the bank in order to reduce the false alerts and learn from previous mistakes. For example, we've done that for STED, which is with the credit card national payment switch for France, who received like 33 billion transactions per year. And by implementing AI, we could actually save that organization $230 million per year and getting them to one-to-one false positive rate. Means for every 2 alerts, 1 of it is true, right? So that's a huge, massive gain, you can bring to this organization by, again, simply implementing machine learning and learning from previous and historical alerts. Operation efficiency, so that's a wide subject. I would like you to talk about the industrial application of that. So we can think of, oil and gas, construction, manufacturing, who have large amount of assets. And these assets are generating a huge amount of sensors, IoT kind of data that no human being can go and understand, right? So how you can implement AI to analyze all these sensor data to predict, for instance, when an asset is going to fail, or how to optimize the production for your well or for your drilling machines, right? So we've done that, for example, for Total, simply analyzing the sensor data and the asset data and the previous maintenance kind of data, and allow them to go from reactive or planned kind of maintenance into more predictive maintenance and gain a lot of operational efficiencies. Demand forecasting, we can think of retail, but also energy and so on, but also banks, telcos, everyone would need to forecast demand coming to their organization. For example, for retail, you want to forecast how much demand you will have on your SKU, on your items on a particular store at a particular location. For energy and utilities, you want to forecast how much energy consumption you are expecting on a particular day, on a particular substation, household, or feeder, so you can optimize the resource allocation accordingly. Last but not least, so healthcare. Again, big area for AI. So here it's about analyzing the patient record, analyzing your X-ray, your CT scans, MRI, ultrasound, and as well as structured data from previous treatment, diagnosis, results, and so on, to predict, for example, when a patient is going to have heart disease, sepsis, and here it's an important point. We are not trying to really replace doctors. I think it will never happen, right? We're talking here about augmenting these doctors with AI that can help them to recommend decisions they should take on a particular patient record. So you've seen here, some sample use cases we can do with AI, and I'm sure you can think of many others, right? So the applications are really wide, and I don't think there's any industry or any line of business that cannot benefit from AI. I'll just give you examples. But to implement AI in every organization, I think there's 6 dimensions that you need to consider. First, it will all start with business. So you need first to consider the line of business or the use case you want to tackle, whether it's sales, risk, operation, or internal. But then to do that, there are different types of analytics. So it's not only about AI. You can start by descriptive analytics, understanding what happened and doing some reporting and so on, or diagnostic to understand why something happens. And then you can go to, to predictive, when something will happen and what will happen in the future, until prescriptive to really recommend action you should take to optimize certain KPIs. To get to this analytics, it's we call that AI ladder. It's a journey, right? And it all starts with data. You need first to collect data from multiple sources, organize it, clean it, because we know garbage in, garbage out. So you need to make sure that the data is governed and in good shape, good quality, to be then analyzed by the different type of analytics, whether it's predictive, prescriptive, and so on. And then once you build your analytical model, then you need to infuse it and integrate it inside your application to be able to deliver business value to whatever application you're trying to target. And then the type of data, again, is very different. We need to consider, the 4 V's of big data, variety, volume, velocity, and veracities. And here, of course, you need different capabilities for let's say, for real time, for batch, and you have to be able to handle structured, unstructured images, text, and so on. And to do any AI project, you don't just need data scientists. These are not the only heroes you need to implement a data science project. You need to have business analysts who understand the business problem. You need to have data engineer who will go and collect the data needed for the business problem and prepare it for the data scientists who will come next and build and train the model, fine-tune them, test them, and so on. And then the DevOps who will take the model and integrate that inside your applications. All right. And then finally, the data and all the capabilities that you are seeing here, does not live on a single cloud, right? It can be on multiple clouds. It can be on a public cloud. It can be on your premises. Or it can be, and most commonly, it's going to be hybrid or multi-cloud kind of environment, right? So you see here, the 6 dimensions are quite complex. And it's a very different thing from building a proof of concept or a POC to say, yeah, I've done data science model, than doing or thinking about building an enterprise or a cognitive enterprise. Again, 2 different objectives, right? And to build an enterprise which is cognitive, you need to consider all these 6 dimensions. So traditionally, we used to think of it like separately, different tools for different icon you see here. I will invest in different tools for descriptive, different tools for structured data, different tools for unstructured. Maybe my data scientists like to write Python, he will use open source. Some others like to use more drag and drop. He will use, he wants some user interface to help them with that. Or I need some different point solutions for different line of businesses. So if you start thinking of it, it become really very complex environment to be able to maintain and to integrate. So IBM's strategy in that field, in AI, is to have one single, unified, and integrated platform that can handle all your AI use cases on a single platform. So it doesn't mean that you need to start by, starting with all what you're seeing on the screen. No, you can start really small. You can start, by telling, for example, I want to just have some predictive capabilities, maybe with some governance. I want to start building one use case, and then you can extend. So it's a very modular platform, but most importantly, you have it all on a single platform, which is integrated, which allow you to start small and then extend as your business requirements grow. And that platform today has been recognized by the major market analysts like Gartner and Forrester as the market leader. So you can go check all these reports, and we are recognized as the market leader in that space, and which help us as well to to gain the largest market share in AI today, according to IDC. So that's it for me.
Ahmed, I'm really sorry to interject. Sorry, we are running out of time. I would love to, keep hearing you, but can we just move on to the demo section, or else we will have to skip a bit of that, which the team has prepared, if you don't mind.
Just on
Thank
time.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed, for showing such beautiful insights on the technology and walking us through the different use cases which have been implemented. And here comes the most interesting part of the session, the demo. We've always believed in the policy of seeing is believing, and it helps us enhance the experience much better. So here we go with the most interactive demo that we presented so far. Over to you, Satyajit.
So hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I am Mr. Satyajit Garewal, working in the data science team, and my major expertise lies between the intersection of Watson services and developing AI products to enhance the customer experience. So I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the audience present here. Despite of the tough situations present outside, thanks for being with us and watching patiently what we have to offer. So before diving into today's demonstration, I would like you to walk you through the agendas of today's demo and explain you what are we actually going to cover today. So here I have divided the demonstration into two parts, wherein the first portion I will be looking at the usability and thereby the features of Watson Assistant. And in the second part, we'll be looking at Watson Discovery and how it creates miracles when it gets integrated to Watson Assistant. So moving forward, I'll directly start with my demonstration, wherein in the first part, I'll be acting as an user who wants to gather some information about coronavirus and basically is there to check out how COVID Assistant can help him. So here at the screen's bottom right corner, I see a lifesaver logo, which is eagerly waiting to help me out. So I click on it, and at the chat's home screen, I can see that it has pulled out all the relevant information which which is needed to initiate the conversation. I also see it has prompting me with some options which are basically the services with it can help.
Can I ask questions like where are the screening centers?
Yes, sure, ma. So, like, even if you don't select any option or very naturally type, where are the screening centers? Dubai. So assistant has intelligently detected that I am trying to inquire about the screening centers available near Dubai and has taken me to the appropriate dialog flow. So now we can see that it is showing me all the screening centers near Dubai noted on the Google Maps. So I can just navigate through my location and get to the nearest screening centers if possible. Now, like here with the maps, I can easily locate, and then if I choose, for example, if I had chosen Abu Dhabi, it would have shown me that.
What if I ask a different question which is not continuing the flow of this discussion?
Okay, so carrying on, like if we like usually we like to talk very naturally. So if there is a case wherein we enter any different question between the current conversation, for example, now I was inquiring about the screening centers, but very naturally, if I change my question, like do I need to take the corona test? Assistant has intelligently detected that I have digressed from my current flow and is trying to now inquire about the symptoms and causes of coronavirus and thereby has started responding me accordingly. So this is an inbuilt feature of Watson Assistant which is known as digression, wherein I could easily switch my task and get the same user experience as if I am talking to a real human agent.
What if I'm asking the same question about the testing centers?
Okay, so if I ask, for example, about the testing centers, for example, screening centers, the assistant will no more ask me to choose between the places as it asked me before because it now already remembers my choice. Thus, as stated, it is not a generic chatbot but an human replica on the digital channel which remembers your choice, and just like having a human conversation, you can have a conversation with it.
What if I'm asking incomplete sentences or unsure questions, some random questions pertaining to our daily activities? Will it still answer my questions?
Yes, so there are many cases where some people are unsure about what queries they need to ask, or they just enter some incomplete sentences. For example, if I just enter the word grocery, assistant, without taking any action on its own, will try to further clarify my query and give me some options. So I can just click on these options and it would expect me to further elaborate my queries. So even if I ask some incomplete questions to the assistant, my assistant would be intelligent enough to recognize and help me out. This is an inbuilt feature known as disambiguation, wherein even if people are not sure what they intend to ask or facing any difficulty to phrase the sentences, the artificial intelligence beneath the Watson can provide customers with a better user experience. Not only this, but if I make some spelling mistakes or like I type very naturally into the assistant, just like if I'm chatting with my any common friend, for example, what is corona virus, the autocorrect feature of Watson Assistant can handle misspelled words or queries and still can prove to be a great help.
Do I have to type the question every time, or can I just speak and ask the question to it?
Yes, so as we are well equipped to the AI platforms and technical devices, we like to use AI products very naturally. In such cases, we only like to speak what we feel rather than typing all the minute details and tiny details into the agent. So, for instance, if I directly say, which shops are open today? The assistant has an inbuilt capability to recognize my voice and still respond to the queries, keeping the same seamless user experience. The speech to text capability of the assistant has been proven a great help.
Can I also ask questions in other languages, say, for example, like in Arabic or in French, or it has to be always in English?
No, so you can ask, of course, depending on the regional language. Now, like it's a the fact which cannot be denied as this COVID assistant is deployed to answer every user's queries across the UAE, and like it's a very unrealistic expectation that everyone can query in English or just in one language. So what if I, for example, as you mentioned, what if I query something in Arabic and not in English? So, for instance, if what if I try to query is driving allowed in Arabic? So I'll just so as we saw, the moment I change the language of my input, the machine learning behind the scenes identifies the language and the assistant starts responding me in the same language. Considering we all like to type very naturally and continuously chat with our friends on social media, we usually don't change the keyboard, rather type very naturally in a regional language using English keyboard itself. So, for example, if I type in Hindi using English keyboard, कोरोना वायरस क्या है? The deep learning technologies beneath are showing their results. An assistant was still able to capture the language and has kept the experience intact.
How many languages are supported by Watson Assistant?
So as of now, it supports more than 100 languages, which consists both regional and globally spoken languages.
What is the role of Watson discovery behind all this play?
So the assistant, the questions which are like, if we ask the assistant, it's not a feasible option for a developer to configure all the dialogues or all the content into a assistant. So what if I ask some natural FAQ based questions which are not pre-configured or served as a service by Watson Assistant? Watson Discovery plays a role. So for example, if I ask very general question like, how does the virus spread? The assistant, being equipped with the cognitive search capability, uh, prompted me with some relevant options and started answering me to my query. With smart document understanding and natural language processing, Watson Discovery can help you, when it gets integrated to Watson Assistant, it can help you finding the relevant information across the documents and give you on the fly what is the information you need.
Does Watson also train automatically when the data in the background keeps updating time to time?
Yes, so the average training time for Watson Assistant is really low. So Watson Discovery synchronizes with all the data which you have kept in, which we have trained it for. So for example, if we are pointing it to any web page or any web portal or any website or any real-time database, it would be getting updated automatically. And if like you can see that the as the time passes, the answers from the queries would be very real based scenarios answers, and it could update automatically and answer you the question.
Maha and Satyajit, sorry, in interest of time, can we switch to the next demo? Else we'll have to skip it.
Okay, sure. So that's what was from my side. Thank you, Ma. Thank you.
Over to Simran. Simran, can you start presenting the next demo?
Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. I'm Simran Qureshi, a decision optimization expert from Alpha Data. In today's time, optimum utilization of available resources at most need for every organization. So let us understand the scenario where the hospital wanted to allocate duties to their staff according to their working hours, skills, and shift requirements, considering projected number of patients, looking at most cost-effective solutions. So we have built ready-to-deploy model which would help any organization like bank, back offices, government offices, IT company, and BPO KPO organization to optimize resource allocation and resource utilization considering various dynamic factors. As you can see here, there are number of KPIs are available which help the user to staff allocation, total cost, number of hours allocated, shift allocated, vacation day, and number of patients. So this is something which we predict from prediction model for the next week. Here you can also see the number of scenarios. So these scenarios help business users to work with multiple what if options on the fly. They can do a real analysis on data. This scenario is nothing but the best scenario, moderate scenario, and worst scenario. For example, in scenario 1, we predict 27 COVID-19 patients, so the number of hours allocated is 1148. In scenario 2, we predict 25 patients. So see here, the number of hours reduced to 1128. And in scenario 3, we predict only 23 patients, so the number of hours reduced to 1100. Okay, so this is all about the KPIs and scenarios. You can also see here the available nurses identified by the name, seniority, qualification, and pay rate. On the right side, we can visualize it as well. The different colored lines indicate the measure of each nurses. This yellow line is the pay rate, green line is the qualification, and this blue line is the seniority. We can also do here what if scenario. Suppose Annie is doing fantastic job in duty, so what we can do is we can increase her pay rate. For example, we want to increase the pay rate by 10%, so we simply write here INC 10. So see, her pay rate is increased by 10%. Next part, which is used for allocation processes, finding out what skills each nurse has. So you can see here, Julie has aged care, while Katie has child health skill. We can also simply add more skills. For example, Nicole has completed her oncology skills, so we simply click here and add yes. That means now Nicole has oncology skills. The next is shift and requirement. So this is something which is very important in staff allocation model. Here you can see two departments, emergency department and consultation department. Here you can also see the number of shifts, 1, 2, 3, 4 for each department, and the start time, end time, minimum requirement and maximum requirement for each shift. It simply says that if the patients are more in hospital, then we need more nurses. Likewise, if the patients are less, then we need less nurses. Day off, this is nothing but the vacation of each nurses. Constraints, as we all know, every real life example have a constraint. So see here some of the constraints like maximum hours that can be allocated is 70. That means no nurses will work more than 70 hours in a week. Then skills and disciplines that are required for each department and for each skills. And now, not work in a particular unit or department, disability in emergency. It means disability is not at all suitable to work in an emergency department.
Okay. You have mentioned these constraints. Simran, this is Aarti here. You have mentioned some constraints like the maximum hours, skills required is good. So are these only limited to baseline constraints or you can add any more? You have something? Yeah.
No, we can add as many constraints as client want. For example, time preferences, shift preferences, gap between two shifts, and many more. For this, we just need to tweak our model as per the client requirement.
Okay, so it is kind of customizable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the relationship preference constraints, which is compatible and non-compatible relationship. Then
Okay.
course assignment. So this we can also call it as a required assignment or mandatory assignment. As you can see here, any is a required assignment for consultation department in shift 1 on Monday. So we have to consider this entry in allocation process at any cost. Next is optimize tab. So here we can track our model using this purple line. We can track how many hours are allocated for each nurse. Okay, and using this purple line, we can track the pay rate of each nurse. You can see here what the optimization process is trying to do is, if the nurses has low pay rate, so it tries to allocate the maximum number of hours, and if the nurses has high pay rate, so it minimum number of hours. Next is the final schedule. This is my output of our overall staff allocation model. So now what I'm going to do is I'm rerun my allocation process. So I'm changing some constraints, like I'm changing this to 60 and I'm changing this to 6 and maximum requirement to 8. Now I'm again execute this process. But see here, the maximum allocation is 70. Now I'm again run this. So it hardly takes 10 seconds.
Okay, so again, Aarti here. So what if I want to see it for a year or something? How does the graph look? When it is for a year?
Okay, so yes, it's support time flexibility. We can change this according to the client requirement. We can change this in days or weeks or years. For example, IT companies where manager needs to assign the resources to particular projects or particular tasks on a monthly basis. So at that time, we can easily change this model in terms of month. So according to the requirement, we can change this.
Okay.
So see here, the maximum hours allocated is now changed to 60. And this is my final output of our model. See here, in shift 1, total assignment is now changed to 6. Total 6 assignments are done. So that's it from my side. At the end, I only want to say IBM decision optimization tool save over lots of time. And yes, as I told you, it is not only specific to health organization. We can use this in any organization like bank, back offices, IT companies. and I hope you understand the whole process. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simran. Thank you for walking us through this demo. We have some question answers to be answered. Ahmed, would you want to take these questions? The first question they've asked is, can we set up Watson Assistant ourselves?
Yeah, sure. Actually, if you subscribe to IBM Cloud, just go to ibm.com/cloud, and you have actually free access to Watson Assistant. You have light version. Also, you have plus version with free access for 30 days. So I really invite you to go and subscribe and try it out. And we're always happy to support you.
We have one more question, asking how quickly can Watson be trained to understand the industry-specific jargons?
Yeah, that's a great question. So IBM Watson comes with pre-built, pre-trained models for generic kind of request, but also for domain specific. For example, we have pre-built intents for banking, for telco, even for COVID-19. It all comes pre-built part of the software. But then if you want to evolve it to more specific kind of intents and jargon, you can definitely do so. Our Watson Assistant have really very user-friendly interface. So you can add your own intents, your own entities, and Watson can really quickly learn on that. So we have clients really implementing sometimes assistant in weeks, right? So it really can go really quick. And most importantly, it continuously learn from more and more utterances or data coming to the system. So you start from point A, and then as you start having more and more data, Watson will go analyze this data and enrich our system with more and more examples that can get you smarter. So it learns over time and improve over time. I hope it answers.
That answers. Thank you for the answers, Ahmed, and thank you for the show as well. Geetika, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. I hope this was very insightful for all our customers. I really want to thank all the customers for joining us in this event, despite being very hectic schedule, especially when you're trying to get back to normal and get back to your offices. Hope there are a few takeaways today. Just to wrap up, I hope you got good insight. Over to you guys for wrapping up then, Late.
All right, so thank you so much, guys, for attending. We really appreciate your time, and I hope it was an insightful demo. As you can see now, AI solutions are not just a luxury, but it's a choice for so many businesses to remain agile by increasing their services availability during the coronavirus pandemic and after the coronavirus pandemic. And it will indeed play a critical role in transforming your customer experience. It will play a role in empowering your employees and enriching the business insights for you to be able to take the right decisions at the right time. As you can see on the right hand of the session, there's a poll that says if you would like us to get in touch with you, please feel free to reach out to the Alpha team, and we'd be more than happy to come and discuss your challenges. Even if we can come as advisors or consultants, we'd be more than happy to explore any pain points that you might be having. And if there's anything we can help with, we'd be definitely more than happy to support. Thank you for attending, and I hope to see you guys all soon.
Thank you, everyone.